Let's head back overseas now, and joining us live is the retired American Army Major and urban warfare expert, John Spencer. John, it's good to see you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're working under the assumption here that there will be a ground invasion that comes at some point, and I wanted to talk to you about the complexities that are involved in taking on Gaza or Gaza City, one of the most densely populated regions in the world. How difficult is that for Israeli forces?
Extremely difficult. But there's historical precedents for Israel, the IDF, and for other armies to do an operation against a defended city like this. But the challenges are definitely complex. The Hamas resistance will be fierce, but I don't see another way to do it with the stated Israeli mission to take Israeli military capability away.
Look, I've been to Gaza a few times in the past, a few different conflicts in the past, and I've seen firsthand how Hamas operates. They hide in hospitals, they hide in schools, they hide in mosques, places where there are civilians, which is why the IDF machine, the military machine, can't bomb those particular spots, and that, you know, in turn keeps Hamas going. So they have to go in. But there's booby traps. There's all kinds of stuff that Hamas would have prepared for, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and there's a city underneath Hamas or underneath Gaza, the Hamas tunnels, that will significantly make it more difficult to push into the IDF, let alone with the rockets, as they have, you know, unknown numbers of rockets, anti-tank guided munitions. It's going to be combat in hell, but that isn't a deterrent for the IDF to accomplish their mission. But absolutely, the human shields, this is the tactic that Hamas, that President Biden talked about. They will put their own people to death in order to accomplish this mission. They'll fill buildings full of civilians so the IDF can't strike them and then shoot from them buildings. This is what we see.
How about this added complexity now of there being American hostages? Joe Biden said this morning, and Jake Sullivan did too, they don't have a number of American hostages, but they know that some have been taken. So that's an added problem, isn't it, for those involved?
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost like a hostage paradox, which really doesn't, there's no rationale on the Hamas side. The fact that they've taken the hostages means that there has to be a rapid operation in order to retrieve not just American, Canadian, German, Israeli innocent hostages. You have to move faster, but the faster you move, the harder it is for the military to prepare the environment, right? To ask as many people as possible to leave, which they're already doing, which is what you do when you attack a city. You try to surround it, empty it of civilians, but the longer the IDF waits, the increased risk of the hostages being dead. The more the military operation continues, the increased risk to the hostages. So it really adds a significant factor to the operation.
When it comes to urban warfare, and it has happened many times in the past, it generally favours the defender, right? I mean, they know the ins and outs of the city and they can hide things as booby traps, etc. So what do the Israeli forces do about that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It usually temporarily, because all those buildings are ready-made military fortifications. The IDF have actually learned from a lot of lessons from their own experiences. And a way you combat a lot of that is to go in first with very armorized heavy equipment like bulldozers and tanks, which can take the hidden hit of the defender that's hiding in the buildings.
And just to explain for our audience, I mean, we all know that, and you spoke about this initially, this vast network of underground tunnels, it's how everything is able to get in to Gaza in the first place. I mean, just how well fortified is that web of tunnels underneath the city?
I mean, it's literally a city underneath the city. I mean, in the 2021 Operation Guardian of the Walls, the IDF destroyed 60 miles. So that's just what they could hit with. There's so many hundreds and hundreds of miles of tunnels underneath each building, connecting buildings to buildings, which makes it harder to actually go into the urban environment. They use them as attack tunnels, like you said, to smuggle things in. I mean, it's vast and will be very complicated to approach.
I mean, even those when they bomb it from ahead, I mean, it only scratches the surface, doesn't it?
Right, and a lot of times the concussion ripples. You send a bunker busting bomb Hamas has also continued to make the tunnels deeper and deeper, so you can't do that. But now there is this complication of also the hostages being in the tunnels, which is more likely than not.
That's a good point. John Spencer, out of time, but appreciate your time this morning. Might look to get you on again once, as we expect, a ground invasion is announced. Thank you, John. We'll talk to you again soon.